Cafaro. You're watching Cooking with Carmine. Today we're at Industry City in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and we're about to go to Ends Meat, my favorite butcher, and we'll be talking to head butcher and owner John Ratliff. Come on inside.
How are you, brother?
How's it going, man?
Good to see you.
Same here. Talk real quick about where you source your meat.
Well, we work exclusively with local farms with a focus on sustainable agriculture, regenerative agriculture, and we commit to buying whole animals from them, which is a really tough business model.
Pretty much since I started coming here, I've been getting my meat almost exclusively from you guys.
We like to really engage our customers, create dialogue. 900-pound animal and you get, 2.5, 3 pounds of skirt steak. You get a little over a pound of hanger steak out of a 900-pound animal, and it's just like educating people to the awareness of what yields come off of an animal and what people not should be eating, but could be eating.
Right.
Yeah. We talk to people about cooking food all day. In addition to cutting and cooking food, we get to just have these conversations.
That sounds like a dream, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty rad gig, I'm not gonna lie.
That's super inspiring, especially for a guy like me, who's a home cook. I have a career that has nothing to do with the food industry whatsoever, but I find that 9 times out of 10, when I'm with my favorite people, the people that I care about the most, we're out eating or I'm literally cooking for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very fulfilling thing to be able to create something with your hands that you sourced, and then being able to feed people. That gives sustenance. People see their immediate reaction and make them happy. The feeling of making somebody happy through all of those things, through sourcing sustainably, through preparing things with skill and time. There's not a lot of things that give me that gratitude, and I feel like you're exactly the same way.
Let's talk a little bit about the salumi, because this is another thing that really differentiates you guys from all these other butchers and delis that I go to. Everything here is cured in-house, right?
Yep. When I was doing it in my apartment in 2010, it was about me learning how to ferment meat. Because it's such a different concept from what people generally relate meat to. They don't think that you need to purposely ferment that meat in order to preserve it and in order to achieve flavor profiles and textures.
Right.
So today we produce almost 30 different cured, fermented, dried items, holding on to the focus of the better we do, the better the farms do, that is the whole ethos. So currently, this version of Ends Meat has seats. It has a beer and wine license. It has a full kitchen. Not only can you come into a larger display of fresh items and prepared items and cured items to take home, you can also choose to have dinner here with us, curate your own menu out of the case.
This is the whole idea, is that if you already have friends, food makes those friendships stronger.
Yeah.
But food also starts new relationships,
This act of consumption
Yeah.
is so overlooked. It's not like people are, it's sustenance. It's like, no, it's like, for me, this is life. This is culture. This is how I get around. It has everything to do with it.
That's how I realized my wife was a keeper. Third date, she cooked me a pork loin, cream mushroom, and an apple crisp.
Sign me
So
up.
I was like,
sign me up.
all right, okay. Should I put a ring on it now? A little bit of blue cheesy notes. Got some funk.
But you can smell that grass, man.
Yeah.
You really can.
Yeah, it's very earthy. This is something that is pretty traditional in my house, and we call it steak night. It really got started because a 5-year-old little girl, after she was born, we really didn't want to stop hanging out with friends. We still wanted to see people as often as we always have. But instead of going out, we would just invite people over. It was when I was really just beginning to learn how to cook. I was obsessed with figuring out how to cook a good steak. So I tried every method I could find. But today, I'll be showing you my favorite way to prepare a steak, as well as my favorite sides and appetizers. The main course is going to be steak with roasted vegetables, broccoli and potatoes with salad. So let's start seasoning this beauty. All we're gonna use is kosher salt. So I'm gonna take a nice, healthy pinch. I salted this right before I'm about to cook it. If it were a fresh steak, I would have salted it the day before and put it on a pan in a rack just like this and kept it uncovered in my fridge. The reason for that is salt pulls moisture. And if you look at this right now, salt has only been on it for a couple of minutes and you're already seeing little pools of moisture. We don't need to do that in advance for a dry aged steak. But for a fresh steak, the more moisture you pull from the surface, the better the sear will be. So we got some thyme here that we are going to add at the end while we're basting the steak. So I'm crushing this garlic now to add to that thyme, which after we sear the steak is going to add a ton of flavor to a whole bunch of butter. We're going to be basting that steak as we cook it the rest of the way through. That moisture we saw that the salt already drew out, we don't want that. We want the surface of the steak to have no water on it, so when it hits the pan, it'll start making that beautiful golden brown crust that we love on our steak. So the reason we're even having a steak night tonight is because it's my birthday. I want to hang out with some friends and cook some dinner.
Happy birthday!
But although steak is the centerpiece of this meal, we can't ignore everything else that goes into it. So now that the steak is salted and our aromatics are prepped, let's do the rest of our mise en place. We're gonna slice up some bread and turn them into crostini. Once they're sliced up, we're going to put them under the broiler. I'll try not to burn these. Now that our bread and cheese is served, let's start cooking our vegetables. Today I'm roasting fingerling potatoes. Because they're going into the oven at a high temperature, I'm not gonna be using olive oil. It has a low smoke point. The olive oil will burn and you don't want that to happen. I'm using avocado oil today because that's just what I've got. You could use canola oil, vegetable oil, just anything that doesn't really have much flavor and has a high smoke point. Every so often I cut dairy out of my diet, and nutritional yeast is a great substitute for grated cheese. But I found that sprinkling nutritional yeast on vegetables that you're about to roast, not only does it taste good, but I think it enhances the crust that you get from roasting it. So tonight, the broccoli and the potatoes both have salt, pepper, and nutritional yeast. I'm roasting the broccoli and the potatoes at the same time. Have the oven at 375. That's about as low as I would put it. 20 minutes is a good place to start before flipping them because you'll develop a nice sear at the bottom. After that, I'll continue to check them every 10 minutes. Now that we have our broccoli and potatoes in the oven, let's move on to cooking our sausages. These skinny guys are the thighs, and these fat boys are sesame ginger.
Nice. You used to smoke those, right?
If I am barbecuing, I'm outside and we're having a cookout anyway, I'll definitely fire up the smoker. But if I'm having a dinner party and we're inside, you're removing yourself from the party, from socializing, just to cook sausages for a half an hour. It's not worth it. Today I'm cooking it in the pan because I'm roasting broccoli and potatoes in the oven right now. And those are going at pretty high heat, so I wouldn't want to put the sausages in there. On the fly, you could just saute sausages in a pan, low to medium heat, because if you cook it too high, you might burst the casings. That'll let all the juice out, which clearly happened to a few of my sausages, but I'm not gonna sweat it.
Take it down.
Wow. These veggies are roasted, so let's pull them and serve them. So this is a great product. These are crushed Calabrian chilies from a company called Tutto Calabria. They are on the Carmine Calabrese sandwich at ALC.
The hot Carmine?
Originally the hot Carmine.
Oh, they changed the name?
Oh, right off the bat, they said hot Carmine is too scandalous. Great product, and we love to mix it with mayo. Take some roasted broccoli. It just makes everything better. So right now I'm chopping some herbs, specifically thyme and rosemary, which I'm going to use to infuse some oil with flavor with some crushed garlic. And after the potatoes come out of the oven, I'm going to be tossing them in that herb infused oil.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Enjoy, you guys. Damn, man, the broccoli just flew. We're just making sure the surface is nice and dry to get a good hard sear. Okay, so now the big difference between cooking a thin steak and a thick steak is that when you're cooking a thicker steak, it's more of a two-step process. There's the high heat portion where you're getting that nice crusty sear, and then you're going to cook it on low heat to finish cooking it through. Whereas when you're cooking a thin steak, once you get that high heat sear on it, chances are you're not going to need to cook it any further. It'll be done. So the sear is golden brown. It's not quite as dark as I want it to be just yet, but I'm also not of the school of thought of only one flip. Flip it until you're satisfied. Just make sure you're not overcooking it. This thinner steak, right now, internal temp is about 100 degrees. This one's at about 80 degrees. We want them both to be at around 120 when we pull them off. Let's add the thyme and that garlic. The butter is gently simmering. The pan is not super hot. We reduced it to medium low. We don't want to burn the butter. So from here on out, we're going to start to baste it with our garlicky and herby butter. So the basting not only imparts flavor, but you're also getting all this hot fat in all the nooks and crannies and all the crevices. So it'll sear the spots that haven't really had direct contact with the pan. Flip it pretty consistently and consistently check on that temperature. Since I want to eat this steak at about 125 degrees, I'm gonna pull it at maybe 120 because we're gonna let the steak rest for about 10 minutes. And as it's resting, it's going to continue to cook. All right, you guys, we're gonna slice and serve. A lot of people say, hey man, it's your birthday, it's your day to relax, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't be happier doing this. I'm here with my friends, here with people I love. We're all happy. Not just because we have each other's company, but because we have a nice, delicious meal and we all get to enjoy it together. Now to finish this off, we're gonna take a little bit of flaked sea salt. Just give it a light sprinkle, and then we're going to take all of the rendered fat and the butter that the herbs and the garlic has just been sitting in. I also took a few drops of red wine, deglaze the pan, mixed it in with that fatty, buttery herb mixture, strained it, and now we've got this.
All right, and this is Adam's. No hazelnuts, so he doesn't die.
All right, you got forks, but that shit's optional. Never. All right.
Wow.
Good watch, Bia. Go ahead, take it. That is a lucky spoiled little dog. Hey, I hope you enjoyed tonight's steak night. Thank you all for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.